Hello everyone, and welcome to my Duel Today official news channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Recaps from Tuesday, September 19, of Days of Our Lives discussed accusations, paranoia, and regrets. Sean Brady felt guilty, E.J. Demura was charged, and Ava Vitali was fearful. Nicole Walker, who was very pregnant, snuck up on E.J. at the Demura estate while he was talking on the phone. Nicole heard some of the conversation he was having with the hit woman who was still in the hospital. E.J. changed the subject after seeing and inquired about her interest in becoming a consultant. E.J. reacted angrily when Nicole instructed him to warn her if he attempted to kill Ava first. Harris Michaels sought to reassure Ava, who was becoming uneasy in a hotel room in London and believing there was a media embargo on their status as fugitives. Tripp Johnson and Wendy Shin were having a private discussion in the hospital hallway back in Salem. Wendy claimed to know Ava's son while Tripp claimed she was taking a significant risk for someone she didn't know. At the Brady pub, Eric Brady asked Belle Brady to assist him and Sloane Peterson with their adoption of a child. When Eric asked Belle what was wrong, she replied that Sean hadn't returned home last night. Sean awoke next to Talia Hunter in one of the bedrooms upstairs and exclaimed, "Oh God," as she exclaimed, "No, no, no. What, how?" When they slept together and allegedly engaged in intoxicated sex, Sean expressed regret and claimed full responsibility, but Talia also accepted responsibility. When Sean realized he had cheated on Belle, he was concerned that she must believe he was lying in a ditch somewhere and didn't remember telling Talia they had gotten into a fight. He couldn't believe he had divulged so much about his private affairs and the issues he and Belle were facing to Talia. Downstairs, Belle told Eric that Sean had been negatively impacted by Victor Kiriakis, that he had resumed drinking, and that she had said things she shouldn't have. When Belle realized she had gone too far in telling Sean he should be in treatment, Eric stated it had been going on for a while, and he threw her romance with E.J. back at her. E.J. denied to Nicole that he would have ordered a hit on Ava while they were still at the Demura mansion, and Nicole questioned him as to why he wouldn't have. Nicole charged E.J. with hiring the lady Ava shot to shoot Ava in retaliation for his mother's murder. E.J. said that Ava took the shot and then fled with Harris. Their only hope had been Susan, and now they were on another continent acting on a delusion. Ava continued to panic out and vented to Harris back in London. Ava informed Harris that she was obviously insane and that they needed to go back to Bayview. Jada Hunter thanked someone on the phone, then informed Rafe Hernandez that Tripp's neighbor had seen Ava and Harris. As they stood in front of his apartment complex, Jada handed Rafe a stack of letters, telling him to tell her she needed to go home and rest. Rafe assured her that he would call her if he learned of any developments in the investigation. Wendy asked Tripp to phone her if he heard anything regarding the search for Susan while they were back at the hospital talking. E.J.'s office at Demura. Tripp didn't want Wendy getting into a fight with him, so she was returning to work. Wendy emphasized that Tripp's mother was in difficulty and would go fishing without E.J. even realizing she was there. Tripp shouldn't have made her care about him if he didn't want her involved. Following Wendy's departure, Rafe called Tripp to ask him to come to the police station. E.J. and Nicole were still having a tense conversation in the Demura home, with him accusing Nicole of ordering Ava to kill the nurse, Aka. Hit woman. E.J. then claimed that he had gone to offer Nicole his legal services. Nicole countered that he hadn't practiced law in years. Nicole was unable to determine if E.J. was lying out of habit or to shield the hit woman when he then said that any adversary of Ava's is a friend of his. E.J. answered, acting a little defensively, "Oh, come on," to which Nicole replied, "No, you come on. Didn't she have a right to the truth since she's having his baby?" Back at the bar, Belle noticed that Sean had read her texts, letting her know that at least he was still alive. However, why was he ghosting her? Eric mentioned that perhaps Sean was ashamed of how he had treated her and felt bad about it. Eric responded that they were apart at the time, but Belle shot out that she had cheated on Sean with EJ. While Talia suggested Sean should give himself a break upstairs, Belle was concerned Sean hadn't forgiven her, and that might be part of the reason he was drinking. Talia observed that Sean was definitely still upset about Belle and EJ's encounter since he was feeling bad about cheating on her while intoxicated and also about exploiting Talia. Talia retorted that she was also out of control since she was upset that Chanel Dupree had chosen Johnny Demura over her. Sean claimed he is Belle's husband and she is waiting for a call from him, but he didn't know how to tell her what had occurred. Talia felt she owed Belle so much. Talia was asked by Sean to keep quiet about what had transpired to anyone until he had time to speak with Belle. Talia nodded in agreement, and Sean told her he had to depart. They said their goodbyes and wished each other success. Downstairs, Belle and Eric were still conversing. Eric advised her to remember that Sean was not the one who was speaking, rather, it was the booze. Belle countered that Sean might not be drinking again. Belle should tell Sean that she will only speak to him when he is sober, as suggested by Eric, and that she will only do so when he is sober. Sean arrived downstairs, and Eric wondered where the hell he had come from as Belle departed the pub, claiming she needed some air. Harris informed Ava that she had a lengthy flight to reflect on what might be going on because they had passed Scotland Yard and no one from Salem was pursuing them. Ava questioned who had persuaded him that her images of Susan weren't hallucinations, and Harris replied that she had. He didn't know the answer, but he suggested they should keep looking. Ava then questioned Harris as to why Susan hadn't given her an address, claiming that if he hadn't realized that the Big Smoke was actually London, they would never have arrived. Ava responded that it was fine, but Susan had better move quickly and offer another indication. Harris tried to soothe Ava by saying he had a good feeling about this. Back in Salem, EJ was guilty for stonewalling Nicole and stating it was to protect her. Otherwise, her baby son would kill her. Nicole sneered and said it would be awkward if he were in jail when the baby was born because she didn't trust him. Wendy knocked on the door as EJ was attempting to persuade Nicole that he wouldn't be going to jail. While EJ reassured her not to panic, Nicole claimed she would go conduct the research, and she then walked away. EJ needed to be sure Wendy was on the right track regarding something they were doing, Wendy told her. Rafe, who was still at the Salem PD, told Tripp he was sorry for the trouble and added that it shouldn't take long. Tripp then expressed regret for not being of more assistance last night. Rafe expressed his want to assist once more and said that while it may be difficult to not know where his mother is, they were confident she was still alive and well at 9 p.m. When questioned, Tripp had to reveal he had seen his mother since their previous conversation when an eyewitness had spotted her and Harris in the alleyway behind his building. When Tripp told Rafe that Ava had been there but had departed after entering over the fire escape, Rafe thought it must have been difficult. When Rafe asked Tripp whether Ava had requested for his assistance and he had declined, Ava had departed. Tripp was unable to answer Rafe's question about whether he knew where they were. Rafe refused to go when Tripp asked to and advised him to consider the possible obstruction charges he might be facing. In the meantime, EJ was reading a lengthy study that Wendy had requested to read because the idea would be costly. Wendy received a notification on her phone that Ava had escaped. EJ was unconcerned, uninterested, and instructed her to stop talking so he could read Wendy's report. Ava called out to Susan in London to give her another sign, but nothing happened this time. Harris theorized that this was likely due to Ava's exhaustion. Harris clapped back, telling Ava she is a Vitali and she should start acting like one. Ava clapped back, telling Harris he could sleep because he was not frightened of anything. Ava gasped in shock as Harris offered to let her use the restaurant first. She stormed out and remarked that when she came back out, perhaps he wouldn't sound so repetitive. Eric informed Sean Bell had recently visited the pub in Salem, and Sean admitted he was trying to think of what to say to her. Eric inquired about Talia, who also resided upstairs, and had been hiding upstairs when he stated he had run across Jada. who had informed him he could crash there. Nicole later encountered Belle and inquired about Sean's condition. Belle replied that he wasn't in great form, and then the conversation turned to Nicole's impending pregnancies. When Belle remarked that E.G. must be pleased too, Nicole stated, "Yes, especially now that there are no uncertainties." Nicole announced she is due in January. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, so please don't forget to subscribe my channel and don't miss any updates.